Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining us on Journalists Hangout this evening. I am Kemi Fola Adeyemo. Well, today on the Hangout, workers boo Oshiomhole for criticizing restructuring campaigners. UNICEF says Boko Haram has used 83 children as child bombers this year alone. Later on the program, labor unions join demand for local government autonomy. I'll be joining or hanging out with Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Asuko James. Journalist Hangout starts now. All right, everyone has a sense of humor, but sometimes the funniest jokes might not be in what is being said, but the individual cracking the joke. And this is the case of former Edo State Governor Adams Oshiomhole, who on Wednesday became a joke that attracted both laughter and thunderous boos. After what appeared to be a comically fantastic outing, he launched into a pool of insults and disappointment when he threw a wrong jab. Now, Oshiomhole was addressing members of the Nigeria Labour Congress, where he said those behind the restructuring agitation were those roundly defeated in the 2015 general election, and that statement portrayed him as seeing the restructuring campaign as a scam. Before he could speak any further, a deafening boo roared from the same crowd that had applauded his jokes earlier. In no time, he lost the attention and respect of the audience. For 10 minutes, Oshiomhole stood stunned and embarrassed. It took the intervention of the leadership of the labor union and other dignitaries at the event to calm nerves. The question I would now throw to the journalists this hour: why should Oshiomhole attempt to play politics with an important subject as restructuring? Gentlemen, you're welcome. I'll begin with you, Babajide. Why would Oshiomhole go that line?
Well, he's the only one who can explain why he has suddenly turned full cycle. Oshiomhole thinks that because he was a labor leader for years, that he's entitled to take the people for a ride, that he's entitled to say just what he likes and get away with it. But they showed him that, look, you are not entitled to say just what you like. You are not entitled to insult people. You are not entitled to behave in a manner that suggests you are an hypocrite and expect that you won't be booed. Because he's been saying this for some time since this whole restructuring argument began. He's been abusing people, saying all kinds of rubbish about the campaigners for restructuring. Meanwhile, in his heart of hearts, he wants restructuring. The bulk of what he said at that event constituted campaigning for restructuring. So what came out in bold relief was an Oshiomhole who is patently hypocritical.
It even appears that he was at odds with himself, going by what you have
Yes.
said. One word
Yes.
you're saying you want restructuring, and in the otherwise you
are insulting people who are campaigning for it. So it is what they call tongue twisting and whistling at the same time. That's exactly what Oshiomhole did. It was tongue twisting and whistling at the same time.
Asuko,
So you can't behave like this and expect that the workers will be happy with you. Those campaigning for restructuring are not enemies of Nigeria. They are not people opposed to the unity of Nigeria. They are people who want the progress of their country, who can see clearly that certain things are wrong, and who want change. A lot of them are genuine people. And one of the people who wants restructuring in our country is the vice president of this country. He spoke on Journalists Hangout. He expressed his desire to have Nigeria restructured. He spoke extensively about how he has been fighting for restructuring since his days as a commissioner in Lagos State. So will Oshiomhole now tell me that Oshibajo is one of those who lost out
in the 2015
election? Because that's the broad side that came from his mouth.
All right, you've thrown up a lot of issues, and I'm so hungry now, to dissect them. But Asuko, let me get your introductory remarks now. What was Oshiomhole trying to say that he didn't put out accurately?
the thing is, Oshiomhole was just trying to play to the gallery, but unfortunately, he shot himself in the foot. Because if you listen to his statement, what he was reading out, he actually wanted restructuring, but he tried to bring in politics into restructuring. And we all know what the whole issue, the restructuring debate is all about. So many people are trying to tilt it towards ethnicity. So many people are trying to tilt it towards religion. So it is restructuring is now like that. It is so sensitive. So for him to have tried to play to the gallery where he actually missed it was like taking the joke too far, just like your introduction says. You know, Oshiomhole would have gone there. He read a wonderful speech. He's a good orator, everybody knows. In fact, he held so many people spellbound until he decided to move away from what he wanted to say. So for him to have come to start, you know, saying that people who are agitating for restructuring, we are, shall I say, political jobbers, was very wrong of him. He's still a politician. He was a former governor. He knows deep down within him that Nigeria needs to be restructured. We all know that particularly now, at this particular point in Nigeria's history, that we need to find a way to sit down and discuss how we can move Nigeria forward. And that is where the restructuring debate comes in. Talking about this restructuring debate, it's raging, especially between the two major political parties, the governing APC and, well, the newly emerging PDP. Now, the Oshiomole's statements, now you've already given me a hint though, but I want you to, you know, delve deeper into it. How does his stance now, or those remarks, you know, affect the APC?
These remarks have absolutely nothing to do with the APC. The APC has so many people who want restructuring in his fold. I just gave the example of the vice president. I don't think there's any person bigger than the vice president set for the president. And he said here that, look, I'm not an hypocrite. I want restructuring. I've always fought for it. I went as far as the Supreme Court to fight for restructuring. He says, so I remain an apostle of restructuring. The only thing that he will not support is for Nigeria to go back to the 60s era. So restructuring can take place without us having to return exactly to how we used to do things in the 60s. That's where Osinbajo disagrees with some proponents of restructuring. But he wants restructuring. And you can't, as Oshiomhole, tell us that Osinbajo was one of those who lost out in 2015. In fact, where he lost out, Osinbajo gained profoundly. Because many people expected that Oshiomhole would be made a vice presidential candidate to Buhari. But Buhari chose someone else. So Osinbajo gained where he failed to gain. So can that same person now be said to have lost out in 2015? We can't keep insulting people who want something good for their nation. This same man, Oshiomhole, sent one of his boys in the NLC to go and read a speech where Babangida was insulted for asking for restructuring. And then they went back to abusing Babangida, recalling that as a military leader he was a failure, he did this, he did that. Yes, as a military leader he made his mistakes. Until Babangida goes to his grave, the annulment of June 12 will continue to haunt him. I think in annulling June 12, he waged a war against his own country. But it doesn't mean that because he did something wrong many years ago, that he's incapable of coming up with bright ideas. Or that if he comes out with a bright idea, we must insult him, we must put him down. No. So this was what Oshiomhole did. He sent a labor leader, Aremu, to go and insult, to go and read a speech where Babangida was insulted. And many people felt, oh, he was speaking on his behalf, Oshiomhole would not have insulted Babangida in this manner. And now he has come out, though he didn't have the guts to abuse Babangida in that manner.
But with the stance he took.
The stance he took this last time suggested that he just thinks that, okay, some of the people pushing for restructuring, and I know they are looking at people like Atiku, they think Atiku is just being opportunistic about restructuring. That some of these people actually want to gain some political traction through this agitation.
And it's not...
but you can't tar everyone with the same brush.
Exactly.
Because I even know some Nigerians, some patriots who have nothing to do with politics, but who want restructuring. So
especially since people have even broken down, there's political restructuring, there's economic restructuring, and so on and so forth. But that said, Asukwa, what can you say about the stance the NLC themselves have taken? Because the crowd was solely drawn from the NLC, and then we saw them. This is, well, I say they're a hero now, and yet they, you know, they were bold to say no, you seem to have missed the point.
You were even telling him to go out. Yeah. Drop the mic and go out. You
seem to have missed the point. Is it because restructuring has become something so dear to the average Nigerians now, or we're just seeing? Are we seeing Oshiomhole losing his clout, so to speak?
This is not the first time. You know,
indeed.
Yeah, this is not the first time. I think there was a protest recently, the last protest that was booed, and eventually, you know, after shouting, they actually gave him that respect, and that is after the intervention of Waba. You know. But I want to also commend, you know, NLC. I don't know the reason why they decided to take on the restructuring debate at this particular point, you know, because they are workers, but I know that they feel that if they don't discuss the issues of of restructuring, they might be left out. Look at what is happening today. The salaries they are collecting is far, far below. So they feel, I want to believe that the NLC is looking at, okay, let's also, you know, be part and parcel of the restructuring debate, so that when once, if anything, peradventure, the restructuring thing comes, you know, the workers will not be let out and left behind, you know. And from what I've seen, from what I saw yesterday, Waba took charge. The workers were angry. I think it is just a deep-seated, you know, anger over Oshiomhole. Perhaps for all the things he has been doing, maybe just like Jide just said now, all the things he has been saying he would do and he didn't do. You know, the lies in quotes that he has been telling them, you know, and all that, you know. So this time around, they just wanted him to just come, tell us what you have to say about restructuring, and not begin to accuse other people of not being involved in the restructuring thing. So what Oshiomhole did yesterday was very, very wrong. Was very, very wrong. But I want to also commend that. I keep commending Waba. He took charge when the bulls were just getting louder and louder, and some people even walked out. Some workers walked out, you know, and even in the presence of the Sultan, you know. So he had to calm frayed nerves, and eventually it shows that Waba is beginning to take charge of the NLC.
All right, but let's explore damage control options now. What would the Oshiomhole camp now be doing now to save face?
Well, you see, I think Oshiomhole was speaking for himself.
Exactly.
Because he said something. He said, I doubt if any one of you here will agree with me. So he knew he was pursuing an unpopular cause. What came over him is the only one who can explain. Because for you to stand before people that you have led over the years,
I remember
as
he said,
a popular president, because you all your life you've been a labor leader, you know. Oshiomhole in Kaduna, Oshiomhole was PRO of the Textile Workers Union, and then he became vice president of NLC, and he became NLC president. He used to come, when I was working with Democrat newspapers, that I used to come around you know, fraternize with us, you know, and you will see that this guy had a future, you know, in unionism, because he was such a down-to-earth person. But people change. I'm not saying that he has totally changed. Maybe he has changed partly. There's no way you become a governor, be exposed for 8 years, be exposed to the perks of office that governors get exposed to, and then people will expect that you will continue to reason like a labor leader. No, it's full-time to begin to think that Oshiomhole will still be like the Oshiomhole of Arewa Tex in Kaduna. No, of course, things have changed. But he knew that what he was saying made no sense. And he said it.
He knew they would take him on that.
Yes, he said, I would be surprised if any one of you agreed with me. I was shocked.
The murmurs were building up, and then he said, hold on, let's assume we're in a courtroom before you cross-examine me. Exactly. Just hold on, let me make my point, even though I know
you see, that is now, you know what that sounds like? Oh, restructuring is good. The restructuring noise is wonderful noise. But I don't like some people who are championing restructuring. So you think that those people will gain political advantage over others. So for that is this mistake that we make all the time. In 2006, because Obasanjo was besotted by a desire to rule Nigeria for 3 terms or more, we had opportunities to even restructure our country. But we threw the baby. All the suggestions made at that time by the confab of that time, wonderful suggestions, a lot of them came back in form of this last confab in 2014. We threw everything away with the bathwater just because we saw an Obasanjo desperate for a 3rd term. So because of that, every other suggestion we just threw away.
It did. But like I was asking earlier on, should the Oshiomhole camp just wave this aside and then hope for another time when maybe perhaps their principal will...
You remember when I said Oshiomhole, what he said did not belong to his camp. Oshiomhole spoke for himself.
For himself, indeed.
Just himself. And he knew that, look, this was a cause without followership. He knew that even before he began to address the people.
But on this issue of...
So is Oshiomhole on his own now and carrying his cross all by himself. If he continues to behave like this, because it doesn't take so long before Nigerians discard people. It doesn't take so long. I know political leaders who made wrong moves in Nigeria. Today, people hardly talk about them. Ebenezer Abatokwe is one of them. You know? Ebenezer Abatokwe, in the late 70s, when you had the UPN, he was one of the most prominent politicians in this country. But he chose to work for Abacha, and Nigerians just chose to forget him. Nobody talks about Abatokwe anymore. Before MCK Ajuluchukwu died, that was the same fate that befell him.
We're getting deeper into this, but I'm afraid time is not our friend. Asuko, Babajide said something earlier on now about the vice president, speaking totally for restructuring. But then the issue that lingers now is what is the president's stance on restructuring? He missed a lot of debate while he was away, but of course he said he was following events back home. What is his stance on restructuring?
The presidency, they've been mute, about the whole restructuring thing. But the party has constituted a committee.
Busy, indeed.
So it means I want to believe that that is the president also backing the party, saying, okay, go on, let's see what this restructuring thing will lead us to. And then I think this morning I heard they're also trying to look at the 2014 confab report, that is the APC, to see what they can get from it. So many people have said, do not discard the 2014 confab report. There might be things there that you might need. And I think the party is going back to the report to look at those things that they can use, especially the committee, the APC. They have a restructuring committee by El-Rufai, who earlier was not in tune with the restructuring thing.
So it's 1-1 for El-Rufai now.
He
supported restructuring back
before he was governor.
Now he appears not to support. He is also it's like El-Rufai and Oshiomhole have been singing from the same hymn book, because it was exactly what Oshiomhole said that he too said. Oh, some people are doing it for politics.
Exactly.
They don't want some people to gain political advantage over this. That's just the matter.
But the truth is that it has become a political currency, as the APC and the PDP have been.
Whether anybody likes it,
whether they like it or they don't like
it,
Nigeria has to be restructured. I listened to the president saying that the unity of the country is non-negotiable, blah blah blah, and all that. Fine. It is not a fait accompli. Nigerians, the groups, everybody must sit down to talk.
What the president has said in that speech is, he passed it on to, the buck to the National Assembly and the Council of State. So, which means it's not foreclosing the idea.
Exactly, So it
means that along the line
is open to ideas, it's open to suggestions, discussion.
Do you know why I support that? Because some people will say, oh, why did they pass the buck?
Why did he pass?
Many times people are just too quick to condemn the president. There's no real restructuring that we can do without legal backing. We must look at that constitution. The constitution that the military gave us, to me, it's like giving us a decree. The 1999 constitution was given to us by the military.
Exactly.
And then they said, we, the people, did you consult with us?
That is it.
You didn't consult. So you shouldn't have said. So now, we have to, some of the changes, the fundamental changes that must happen, you first have to go to the constitution and cause amendment to happen. For example, if you are talking about state police, that same constitution says there shall be
one.
So you must look at that constitution and cause some changes to happen. So that's why I think the president is right. And when we talk about the 2014 confab, yes, fantastic ideas, but no legal backing. No legal backing.
Because all these demands that Nigerians are putting, bringing forward now are not things that we can just, introduce just like that. No, like you said,
there has to be legal backing.
Legal backing whereby the National Assembly will have to sit, they have to amend the constitution, they have to look into it. Bills have to be debate, bills and all that has to come into play, so that at the end of the day,
public hearings,
public hearings, so that at the end of the day, we will have a people-oriented constitution. Because what we have now is just an offshoot of what happened in 1979. They moved it to 1999, and then the military is like a decree.
They added what they liked.
They just added, like, even the overhacking powers of the central government having everything, virtually everything, ahead of the states as well as the local government.
So are we making progress now as a country? There's been clamors from that region and this region. Are we making progress now to the eventual discussion that will bring about this restructuring that we want? Yakub, you're welcome. You're here in Lagos. Thank you very much. You could join the conversation.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Yakub, I greet you.
Yeah, good evening, sir. And then good evening to the second man in the studio. You see, without not exaggerating anything, Babajide, in fact, you are just too good. That's what I just can tell about you. You are just too much. You see, Babajide, every time I watch this very particular program, anything that you say, if somebody follow you, you will know that you are really saying the truth. Maybe you are because of your name. But God Almighty will continue to guide you. I've been saying that, Babajide. Yes. In fact, whether Oshiomhole like it or not, the restructuring will come naturally. Whether the elite like it or not, the restructuring of this country will come naturally. You see, let me give you a simple example, Babajide. If this country we are not restructuring, Babajide, you see, one part of this country will continue to be the president of this country because of their population. You see, because now, the first political party that are ruling Nigeria currently now, the president comes from the north. Now, the PDP that they want to resurface now, they are picking their president from the north also.
All right. Thanks a lot, Yakub. Thank you very much. Before we, take a break, now I just want you gentlemen now to lend a voice to speak about this lingering debate now that the APC-PDP has erupted on this issue of restructuring. Of course, the statistics are not really working to the PDP, especially after two attempts now to restructure, so to speak.
They missed their chance.
The waste panel and then the last one.
They missed their chance.
But is the game now, or is the back and forth now? I'd like you to give me an assessment.
I think that if you look at what the APC has done, people will say, oh, the confab documents, they brushed it aside. But they've been implementing what's in the confab document. They've been implementing the resolutions. The TSA, for example, the school feeding program, were part of the resolutions of the last confab.
All right. I think I'm getting a hint now of us going on that break.
Which means that the restructuring can still happen.
And it's in progress.
Yes.
Because that is key. Do you agree, Asuko? Exactly. Are we in progress?
Exactly. And I think the
whether
APC
or PDP,
listen,
while they do
their
back and forth.
wants to, I think for me, if they want to win the next election, they should take this restructuring debate seriously and make it a project. A big project for them. That is just what they need to do.
All right, gentlemen, and to our dear viewers, coming up on Journalist Hangout, UNICEF says Boko Haram has used 83 kids as suicide bombers this year alone. Don't go anywhere. You're watching Journalist Hangout. To another discussion now. The Nigerian government has been really ecstatic about defeating Boko Haram. The government has declared both technical and official defeat in the past, but recent suicide bombings and attacks have raised concerns about their claimed victory. Today, some parts of Borno State remain largely unsafe for people to live in. Suicide attacks have been stepped up, and in recent times, Maiduguri has come under attacks. Now, the United Nations Children's Fund, UNICEF, says this year alone, Boko Haram has used 83 children as human bombs, describing the action as cruel and calculated. We ask, what is going on? Jide, you've been on this issue for long, but this UNICEF report now, what does it make now to the issue of whether we have indeed tackled Boko Haram?
Yeah, what it means is Boko Haram has recalibrated. In terms of conventional warfare, we've dealt with them. Everyone knows that. But they switched to suicide bombing. They are no longer interested in holding on territories. That's no longer their agenda. But they are still holding Nigerian territories. I continue to say it. They're still holding on to some Nigerian territories. But it's no longer their cardinal objective. Their cardinal objective now is to inflict pain as much as they can do it, is to kill people with minimum body count on their own side. So what they have switched to, because Nigerian soldiers took back most of the territories that they had. Before the election, all the local governments that Boko Haram controlled, we took back. And we continue, after Buhari took over, we continued with the same momentum. So they knew that, look, their days were numbered. So what have they now decided to do? They now use female suicide bombers, largely. And the men, they use the men for ambushes. People say, oh, Boko Haram can no longer launch military-style tactics. That is a lie, as I always say, from the pit of hell. Because even ambushes are common. It's a common military tactic. Even our own soldiers too. Sometimes they ambush Boko Haram fighters. They won't know that our soldiers are locking something, and then they open fire on them, waste them. So what they have now resorted to is suicide bombing. So what we have now is, according to the UNICEF report, suicide bombings have increased the level of suicide bombings have increased 4 times more than it was in 2016.
That's true. That's correct.
4 times more.
In the whole of last year.
Yeah, 4 times more. What we've had, we've not come to the end of this year. This is a survey of 7 months. Yet the figures show that we've had 4 times more suicide bombings in 7 months than we had in the whole of last year.
But
4 times more. Which
that is worrying. That is worrying indeed. But I want to take Asuko up on these 55 girls, because Babajide has noted that it seems there is more value that these terrorists, you know, have in grabbing as much girl children as they can now, and using them to carry out this deadly acts.
Exactly, because if you look at it, the girls, I think they are easily brainwashed. Let me use that word, and they can easily, you know, be used for their new found tactics.
Perhaps maneuver in the crowd.
In the crowd, then,
and you know,
and
with the jab,
with the veil and all that. So it's very, very worrisome. UNICEF is really raising concerns, because if you look at it, and it is a region whereby girl child is not really given the opportunity to go to school. You know, they are not given that opportunity to learn, but the only thing they do is just for them to be married away. So it's easy for those commanders to get these children and begin to tell them things they want to hear. And UNICEF is really, really worried. But
then, once again, President Buhari has been busy, and this is a subject that he has already said he would tackle headlong when he assumed office in 2015. We've seen the meetings, we've heard about the meetings he held with the security chiefs and all. Now, the situation obviously demands a change in tactic.
That is what some of us have always conversed for, that look, tackling Boko Haram with the same tactics of 2015 and 2014 will not work. These guys are no longer interested in taking territory, so let's even stop boasting that we have recovered all territories. That's no longer their agenda. Their agenda is to inflict maximum casualties now using suicide bombers and their own male foot soldiers carrying out ambushes and all that on Nigerian troops. So if we check, you'll see that the rate of even ambushes has gone up. It has gone up, and the rate of suicide bombing has gone up. That is the clearest suggestion to anyone that there is a shift in tactics.
So we can't say it's a relaxation now on the part of our troops.
No, nobody is saying that. What is happening is you have an enemy that is determined and an enemy that continues to change tactics just so that it can continue to survive. The same Sambisa forest, they've gone back there. They've gone back there because they can't avoid using Sambisa forest. Where else would they hide? They know that it's very, very wide, stretching across seven states. So there's enough space for them to hide.
Could it also be maybe perhaps our challenges with, you know, remaining in one place for a long time? After all, there are security challenges elsewhere. Could it be the handicap the security forces are facing at the moment?
No. We have enough troops. If Boko Haram has the courage to take on Nigerian soldiers in conventional warfare, the battle will end in a few days. But they won't dare that. They know that they can't defeat the Nigerian army. So they will rather continue this attack because they want to remain relevant. So all this attack on soft targets where people are drinking chai, you know, some people drinking tea in the evening, you go there, especially during Ramadan, when people are breaking their fast, they're drinking tea in the evening, you go and kill people. This is what they are doing. At the end of the day, you will talk about Boko Haram. You will talk about the number of people that Boko Haram has killed. That, to the terrorists, that makes them happy. You know? So they are not ready now to hold a territory for Nigerian soldiers to come and crush them. It's the same thing that Al-Shabaab is doing in Somalia. There was a time that Al-Shabaab controlled more than 3/4 of Somalia. And then we had Kenyan troops and AU forces coming in and liberating most of those towns and chasing away the Al-Shabaab fighters. They've now resorted to ambushing luxury buses and slaughtering people. They've resorted to attacking towns and killing people, very similar to what Boko Haram does. So what should worry us is the fact that Boko Haram still continues to attack villages. When they attack villages, what do? They steal food, they kill the men, they take the women away. The women and children they take away. That way they will find food soldiers. They will find people that they can use for their suicide bombing. So our efforts should be geared towards ensuring that Boko Haram does not retain the capacity to kidnap our people. If you go to Adamawa State, areas like Madagali and all that, Boko Haram still continues to go and kidnap people because they need to use those people.
They also need food and then other essentials. But then the big Muslim festival is coming up, the Eid al-Kabir here, and of course, naturally, security forces will be on high alert now to see, to perhaps now prevent terrorist attacks. Asukwo, we have issues with intelligence because, as have been noted, how will I say it now? Soft targets now, that seems to be the edge that Boko Haram has, you know, in going to the marketplace where everybody will naturally go to get stuff. Asukwo, I would like you to comment here.
It's worrisome because on Salah Day, so many people will be going to the market to get ram and all that, you know, and it means this, the military, the security forces will have to increase their awareness, increase their intelligence gathering mechanism, if at all they need to get people, to gather intelligence.
It's still an issue.
And it can be, the thing is, the war it has moved from conventional to ideological.
Indeed.
You know, and so it's very difficult for one to begin to, you know, hold on to what these guys really want. What do they really want? Do they want to take territories? Do they want to Islamize that region? You know, we really I keep saying, what do they really want? Especially using children as human bombs. You know, and part of what the UNICEF said, that out of the 83 that we are used as human, a baby was also used. You know, and
baby was being carried by
a mother, and you know, a bomb, explosive strapped around the child and all that. So you begin to wonder, what do they really want? Is beyond human imagination that one can be so callous to think that, oh, I'm fighting for my God, and at the end of the day, I kill.
Because then they actually brainwash these children, and we even have some of these children who have been able to escape.
You know, they escape, and at the end of the day, and you know, like I was telling you, when the chief communication officer of UNICEF was even saying that sometimes when Boko Haram attack these villages.
Philip is joining us now from apologies, Asukwo. Philip, good evening. Thank you for joining us.
Good evening.
All the way from Edo State.
Good evening.
Yes, about the statement the former governor of Edo State made.
Yes.
He's a good governor. He tried. He did a lot of jobs in Edo, but the biggest problem he has, recklessness. He knows how to talk anyhow. I will advise him. Hello?
Yeah.
I will advise him to avoid talking anyhow. I don't see anything that's wrong with restructuring. Why are APC politicians afraid of restructuring? I don't know.
All right.
There are certain things you need to say.
Okay.
It's not fair at all. I will advise you to be avoiding all those kind of, because see the way they are doing is disgrace. It's not good.
All right, Philip.
About the UNICEF complaint about you.
All right, carry on quickly, please.
No, this is gone.
Philip, apologies. The connection suddenly went off. All right, Asukwo.
No, so like I was saying, the thing is, that another concern is when these villages are being attacked and the children are being adopted, and maybe some of them escape from the hands of these fighters, these Boko Haram fighters. Do you know, going back to those villages, the villagers reject them. So they are stigmatized. And that is a very big problem.
And another interesting point. Can't we use them? Can we use them? Are we not, hitting ourselves in the foot if these people who are coming with loads of information, perhaps as to the operations of the Boko Haram?
The bigger concern for me is even that some of those people are going back to the forest.
Because of the ostracized, yes, because they have been ostracized by society.
They are going back, yes, because you need a considerable length of time, get clinical psychologists to work on them before you reintegrate them into the society. Even they too will keep to themselves. They will keep to themselves. So they need a considerable length of time to work on them and then ensure that they are purged of all the nonsense that they've been told in the forest. Once you've done that, they are fully ready to be reintegrated into the society.
Right.
But if you do not do that, in no time, on their own, they will go back to the forest, and that's already happening. Some of the people rescued are going back to go and meet their boyfriends among the Boko Haram fighters.
All right. Of course, as always, we here at TVC News wish our security operations all the best, and we also encourage them with our prayers that they are safe and they get this job done and done quickly.
Amen.
All right, on July the 26th, the Senate, as part of its 1999 Constitution amendment process, voted in support of local government autonomy, abrogating joint actions for states and local governments, providing us also for local governments to operate their special accounts. The current concept of local government as a tier of government in Nigeria is a scam. For years, its administration has been mere appendages of state governments. In 1976, the Olusegun Obasanjo regime carried out a reform of the system. It was also put in the 1979 Constitution and still obtains in its 1999 variant, but it has never achieved its objectives. Governance is still far from the people, and the voiceless still has no voice. On Monday, NLC and the local government union, that's the NOGE, defied the rains and marched through the streets of the Cross River capital, Calabar, to support a local government autonomy. And they noted that local governments have been incapacitated and unable to deliver their statutory services to the masses. So why is it difficult to, get local government autonomy, Asuko? After all, it's been in the Constitution all this while.
It's going to be very difficult because the states will look at, okay, how much allocation am I getting first? And if they look at it, okay, I was even looking through the Federation account, the latest one, that is the one in July. The states got about 130 billion. The federal government got about 93 billion. And the local government, for the first time, based on their numbers, they got 98 billion. I think this is the first time I'm even seeing this number, At the end of the day, they will split it, into 774 local government. Eventually, the state will tell you they don't have enough money to do one or two things. Then the local government themselves, who are appendages of the states, because if you look at all the states, whether you like it, all the states in Nigeria, all the elections that have been, conducted have been won by the sitting government. All. So it means they know who they are putting there. They're always putting their people so that at the end of the day, we have 20 local government, and I think this is what you need for your local government. It is the state that will determine what they. So it will be very difficult. It is just there in the Constitution, in Section 7 in the Constitution. It's just there that the local government is a third tier, and this is they are created for this and that, and they don't have the autonomy. They can't have the autonomy.
So there's a big challenge on ground.
It will be very, very difficult because for them to just hand over that autonomy to the local government, except a miracle happens. And before that miracle will happen, it means, one, the major thing that needs to happen is INEC to conduct elections in states. If INEC conducts elections in states, there will be that credibility. People, thank God the Assembly is now talking about independent candidacy. So people can now, go ahead and begin to contest in local government election. Look at even in Kenya recently, we had an 18-year-old, winning election. into council. So why
the youth in Nigeria should be encouraged at least
should,
four,
because that is where the
4
independent candidates can come in. So if INEC conducts election and not the State Electoral Commission, there will be some level of credibility. So that at the end of the day, if any state government refuses to, part with what is originally supposed to, be given to the local government, you'll be able to, raise eyebrows and begin to make noise, because it's going to be a different political party.
And as we already know now, the federal lawmakers have already, done their part, pushing it to the state houses of assembly. Indeed, this is not the first time that the National Assembly will say an all-out yes for local government autonomy, but it was crushed by the states in 2014. Could we see a different, turnout this time around?
Given the overwhelming powers and influence of Nigerian governors, local government autonomy looks like a long shot. At this stage, they are already doing their best to frustrate it. You can see that even the Nigerian Governors Forum, as a body, opposed local government autonomy. They are saying that in a federal structure, that only the states are the federating units, that local governments should be seen as administrative units of the states. So that's their own argument. Of course, state governors over the years have continued to tamper with fiscal allocations to local governments. A lot of those local governments, governors will just decide that, okay, this month, this is what you get. Because they continue to operate this joint account. The joint accounting is a fraud, because it's heavily tilted towards the state.
Indeed.
And if you, as a local government chairman, if you decide to confront your governor, you will be gone. They will kick you out. So we even had local government chairmen being suspended by state governors. That should not be happening.
An elected...
Not really someone who was elected. There ought to be procedures by which you can kick him out of his position, but not for a governor to be suspending local government chairman. But that is happening now. And governors are now even allowing people to freely choose their leaders at the local government level. Because the governors, what they enjoy the most is to plant a caretaker chairman here and there. So those caretaker chairmen will be people loyal to them who can help them to win the next election. People have been saying, look, let's have INEC organize local government elections. That in itself will even contravene our federal arrangement somehow. But if the governors continue to behave the way they are behaving, definitely even me, I will support the idea. Councils should be able to develop at their own pace. Funds due to them from the center should go to them so that they can use such funds to develop the grassroots. A situation in which a governor takes all that should go to councils and then gives them what he thinks they should get is unacceptable.
But when the Constitution comes to play, when the amendment process, because I'm looking at the major lacuna now, or the major setback now that looms for local government autonomy, if we cannot get to third majority across all the states of the federation, is there a way we can bypass?
That's why I said that it's a long shot, because these governors will exert their influence. They will exert their influence on this matter and make sure this doesn't work. Apart from Okowa and the governor with the 3-story cap, what's his name again?
Amosun.
Okay, Amosun. There is no, I can't remember any governor who openly canvassed for autonomy.
But with NLC now, saying this, Nuge also saying this, local government employees, also pushing for this. Can we have a bit more optimism from you both on this issue?
You said you want me to lie, and it's not in my character to lie.
But lobbying could help.
Think, you see, let's be able to say something that a few years down the line, you remember that Babajide said this would most likely not happen. And you'll be able to say, yes, he got it right. That is what will give me joy. The way things are, governors are like gods with the small letter G.
Yeah, exactly.
They are like gods where they are. They decide what happens. They determine a lot of things. Even National Assembly members, they determine the ones who return,
Exactly.
you know, who win in the primaries. They are so influential. Even in that National Assembly, if governors make up their minds that, look, we want to frustrate anything, they will lobby the members from their respective states, and you will see that that thing will not succeed.
And speaking of which, the NBA, at the NBA conference going on now, Ondo State Governor, former NBA president, said it's absolute nonsense. He was citing an example of where somebody will come from his state and say, we want you to give us a name now for who will be the president or the leader now, or Speaker of the House of Assembly now. Won't we get to that point eventually, you know, where there will be true independence? This is the state, this is the government, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, it's going to be a tall dream. It's going to be a tall dream, because if you look at it, the governors are not ready to share the powers that they have over the local government.
Yes.
They just want to sit on those local government because they feel that they are the only ones that are very close to the people.
Yes.
Because if they leave that position, if they leave the local government to anybody, let me use that word, to anybody, when once it comes to the next election,
they may be politically vulnerable.
Honestly, so
they need to put their people.
They have to
there.
put them. So you know, like,
and they must
like
be in control of the people that they put
yeah.
there.
Well,
every politician thinks about the next 4 years, the next election.
Politics is about interest. It's their interest now. They believe that it's in their worst disinterest for this to happen.
Exactly.
That's why they are trying their best to make sure it doesn't happen.
All right, noted from you
but
two
for
gentlemen.
us, if you ask me, it's desirable. It's what I want to see it happen.
Exactly. And the president is even on record now to have, you know, advocated for local government autonomy, saying it's
from
the link.
First day.
Indeed, it's the link
He's
between.
not happy with what's happening. He's been saying it from the first day.
The grassroots development. Well, thank you both, Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Asukwa James. Now, it's been a pleasure having you both, you know, sharing ideas right here. And we hope that you all have been enlightened as a result of today's episode of Journalist Hangout. Join us tomorrow for another interesting episode of this program. And you can watch the repeat broadcast tonight at 11 p.m. Watch Journalist Hangout also on YouTube at youtube.com/TVC News Nigeria, and our feedback channel as always remains Journalist Hangout at TVC News NG. Many thanks for watching this episode. Now I am Kemi Fola Adeyemo. Bye now, and God bless Nigeria.